Alright guys, so today I want to react to this today because I think it really does, pose a interesting, such important question in the NFL. We reacted to this man's video before. His name is Brian Stutterer. And you guys are freaking awesome because you guys keep me in control here. MD does not stand for Maryland. MD stands for medical doctor. So yeah, he's a medical doctor, a medical sports doctor. Anyway, though, shout out to him. I will leave a link down below in the description to this video and his channel if you want to check him out. He goes through all the injuries and all the problems with different players, whether or not they should play, whether they shouldn't play, and all that kind of good stuff. So he's a really great, amazing, YouTube channel. Plus, again, great, amazing guy too. Alright, so let's talk about this, because this is an interesting question I think that needs to be brought up / talked about in some orientation. So, concussions around the NFL are always it's something that you can't prevent, right? And it's the scariest thing we have seen, right? We have Hayden Hurst for the Panthers just recently had a very bad concussion versus the Bears. And because of that now, he's in a very bad state. We don't know what's going to happen to him, whether or not he's going to be able to recover, whether he'll play again. We don't know anything, right? We had Tua, last year versus us when he had that head injury on Thursday Night Football. It's almost impossible to stop concussions. Back on Thursday night, Steelers versus Patriots, TJ Watt on the first opening part of the game, he got kicked in the head. And after he got kicked in the head, he had some smelling salts on the sideline to kind of get his brain back in check. And he played the rest of the game. Now he's in concussion protocol. The problem with that is, if he had a concussion, why did he play the rest of the game and not come out of the game at that moment in time? And I think that's where we start to really bear the question here and start to really kind of go through the fine line of what's best for the player and what's best for the game, right? Because him coming out of this game, you're pretty much forfeiting the game to the opposing team. When Tua came out in our game, we won that game for that said reason. Well, not that said reason, but I'm saying we won that game no matter what. So it is a difficult, situation, and I understand for the player and the team and the NFL, because at the end of the day, what we care about more than anything is the player safety of these players, right? They're human beings too. We want to see them healthy. We want to see them okay. We want to see them be able to live their lives. And then the NFL looks at it also from a business point of view, and NFL teams look at it from a point of view of, hey, I want to win. These players are major league competitive. They want to win too. And then it's like that fine line of, well, can he go back in the game? Should he not go back in the game? And there's going to be investigation to see, what happened here, right? Just like the Tua situation. So let's go ahead and listen up to Brian Stutterer talk about this.
Using smelling salts just a few minutes after taking a serious knee to the head at the start of Thursday night's football game. And we since found out this morning that he's now been placed in the concussion protocol. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Suter. My goal in the channel is to help teach you about the medical side of the sports world. Now, last year, of course, I was really critical and talked a lot about what happened with Tua and his head injuries. And I got to say, what we saw this past week with TJ Watt, now learning he's been in the concussion protocol, is probably the worst thing that we've seen since what happened with Tua. So let's just talk through everything that was missed here. And I want to also walk through what I would do if I were the head team physician, because ultimately at the end of the day, I think the Steelers organization has to admit that they messed this up. Something went wrong somewhere to not recognize that TJ Watt sustained a concussion.
I think, again, like I said before, I think the problem is also, it's the player, man. The player wants to play, and he's going to keep fighting back against any team doctor or anything. And he's going to keep saying, I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. And the sad part is, if we're being honest here, the higher-ups in, the NFL, like the business side of the NFL, that's, well, I guess majority, but they're going to want him to play too. They don't care about the fact of what the play. They act like they care about the players, and they act like they care about the player safety. But at the end of the day, the NFL is a business, and they're going to care about the best product they can produce possible. And knowing this game's already crap, they want him to play. They're not going to probably push back against it. The Steelers need a win. They're not going to push back against it. TJ Watt, it's like everyone's fighting back against the same thing. And then the team doctors come in and say, hey, man, yeah, you can't play. That's going to be a whole entire rift and a problem. So again, like I said, it's just such a difficult situation to kind of go through and comb through in any way.
On that first play of the game. So I want to talk through what I would do, kind of how I would handle this, and maybe that'll be educational for any learners watching. First things first, it's not unheard of for somebody to report delayed concussion symptoms, meaning we saw some concerning hit, we did an exam at the field, their exam was negative, they looked good, but then the following day they report symptoms. So that in and of itself is not a concerning thing. But when we hear about these delayed presentations, the first thing we have to do is look back and say, was there a mechanism, was there a time where we could justify or say that a concussion likely occurred? And I think there's no doubt with what that moment was here for.
Yeah, I mean, as he slowed it down, but the quick pace of, Zeke's literally his knee slamming right into the head of TJ Watt. I feel like it's tough. It is tough because at the same time, it's like they did go through the basic protocol. You're just supposed to take out any guy who hits his head at all in the game. That's what it comes down to, right? Now you start going down into I'd say you go down to like a domino effect, right? Now you have to do everything. This guy gets hurt. This guy got head hit. You have to follow this process, and then eventually you lose all your guys because, let's be honest, football is football. You're going to hit your head one way or another.
Or TJ Watt. Very first play of the game, takes this inadvertent knee, and the announcers kind of unfortunately said it looked like he took a knee more to the face, but this should be considered just a knee to the head. I mean, yeah, the face mask is there, but look at how Watt's head is pointed straight forward, and then as this knee comes through, his head gets knocked off to the side, and so yes, this does push his face mask back. Yes, this could potentially injure the jaw, but this also definitely has to be considered from the spotters, from the independent neuros, as a blow that would be concerning for a potential head injury. And then, of course, we saw how Watt remained down on the field, needed some time to get up. And the first thing with all this that I don't understand is why there was no head evaluation. Now, this doesn't entirely fall on the Steelers, right? There's independent spotters, there's the independent neurologist, there's a lot of different layers of people responsible for making that call down to say this player needs to have an evaluation for a head injury, take them back into the blue medical tent. We didn't see any of that. We just saw Watt on the sideline talking with presumably the Steelers' own medical staff, but he never went into the blue tent. There didn't appear to be any head injury evaluation despite what everybody saw on the replay. So that, I think...
yeah. I mean, that is definitely a lack of, the correct judgment by the Steelers organization of not at least checking his head, but it was such a fast-paced play. And again, like, I think the announcer saying that they think it was a knee to the face, I think that's very important. And I know he said, like, oh, they shouldn't say that because it's clearly a knee to the head. It should be considered a head injury. But with how fast-paced football is and quick-paced football is, unless a guy slams his head on the ground, usually it's like, all right, well, maybe he got hurt because the guy hit him in the neck. The guy hit him in the, face, right? And it probably was looked at in that orientation of like, okay, well, clearly the guy just hit you in the jaw and your jaw hurts, right? So but the fact he was on the ground for a little bit of time, definitely, again, another red flag. Again, there is no easy way to put that. It is literally, this is an important game for them. He didn't want to come out of the game. I think that's really what it is. I don't think there really is anything else to look into there. I mean, could you say that this is incorrectly handled by the Steelers? Yeah. Could you say the Steelers did this because they wanted to win? Yeah. Do you think TJ Watt wanted to come out of the game? Absolutely no. And the smelling salts, yeah. Again, like I said, when you put everything on a microscope, it does look bad. But there's no easy way to put this through and say, oh, yeah, this should have happened like this should have happened like this should have happened like this. It is what it is at the end of the day. So again, like I said, I understand the perspective of obviously a sports doctor here. I understand the perspective of the concussion protocol and how, injuries. But at the end of the day, we have to remember all humans too. And I say it like that, not only the perspective of players' health, I'm saying when it comes to the will and the way of wanting to play the rest of that game and wanting to play. I guarantee you, TJ Watt said, I'm fine. And I know as it's, your medical doctor, your medical team, or medical staff would say, I don't care what you say, you're going to go in this blue tent. And them not checking on him was incorrect. That was wrong, okay? That was absolutely wrong. They probably took his word for it that he's okay and everything's fine. But then the smelling starts. It's like, again, like you said, things aren't adding up completely. Things are kind of wishy-washy when it comes to the details. It is what it is at the end of the day. Now he's in concussion protocol, and I do hope he's okay, and I hope he recovers well. But at the end of the day, it's a tough situation to be in, I feel like, for anyone. For the player, for the NFL, obviously for the team. Because you have a player who says he wants to play. He says he's fine. He says he's okay. I just took a hit in the jaw. I got hit down there. Whatever. The medical staff's like, well, if we say something and we try to take this player out of the game, we're going to be demonized by the fans. We're going to be demonized by by the team. There's going to be so much problems. The player is going to fight back against it. And at the end of the day, maybe they didn't bring him in a blue tent because they knew he had a concussion. And they didn't want to take him out of the game. And they knew the second he goes in that blue tent and he gets tested, he's going to have to be removed from the game. So, yeah, there's so many different angles to look at this. And again, like I said, at the end of the day, I understand, the NFL. I understand 100% why he should not have played the rest of that game. I mean, again, concussions, let's look at what Hayden Hurst is going through, right? Concussions, they really just compound on each other, too. Not only that, it's just like, one concussion, at first, it's like, okay, well, it's concussion, not get over it, but you'll get through it, a couple days, you'll recover, things okay. Not always. Some concussions, it could be your first concussion, it could really destroy your whole entire life. So, brain injuries are never good. Brain injuries are never an easy process. While you might get lucky and get away with one or two different situations, it's a very scary situation. So again, I hope DJ Watt is fine. I hope he's okay. I hope he recovers from his concussion. Should the Steelers lose a draft pick or get fined or whatever? No. Because like I said, I understand the perspective. I'm not saying it was right, but I understand the perspective, and we don't have all the information. Now, if one of the Steelers guy, like head coach or Mike Tomlin or one of the coaches, knew and TJ Watt told him that he had a concussion, then yes, there should be a fine or that coach should be fired. But as long as there's no malicious intent that happened in the circumstance of this happened, I mean, there's nothing else you could really look into. I'm sure they're going to do an investigation. They're going to figure out their investigation. They're going to figure out what should happen. But it is a bang-bang play that clearly they thought the guy didn't have a concussion. He clearly did. And yeah, so it's definitely a mishandling by the Steelers medical staff and Steelers coaches. But what are you going to do, man? Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.